You don't realize how wrong people online are until they post about something you know. Satirical news publications, like The Onion, are inherently more trustworthy than any actual news publication. When the A and P are together in a part, they're referencing things that are separate. But when the A and P are separate, like in they're a part of each other, they're referencing things that are together. No matter how old you are, how many good or bad things you've done, your entire life led you to this very moment when you waste your time reading this shower thought. Since most men get an erection when waking up, the earth is constantly doing a boner wave. As an adult, we can fart in public anytime we like because people will pretend like they don't notice it. There might be someone out there who has perfectly sketched your face not knowing you're an actual person. Suddenly delivery by drone doesn't seem like a shit idea. The witch from Beauty and the Beast basically punished a 10-year-old for doing what he's supposed to do when a stranger shows up. I'm pretty sure that modern movie makers produce deleted scenes on purpose, only to sell them to fans as extras. When a house collapses from termite damage, there's one last bite from one termite that does the whole structure in. Left-handed people are the last unrecognized minority. Have you ever wondered how many random strangers you've seen on their last day on Earth? Having sex with a pregnant woman technically counts as threesome according to pro-life logic. The dreams that hurt you the most aren't nightmares but the good ones you have to wake up from. Air probably has a flavor we can't taste because we are constantly tasting it. Maybe the media has a point by trying to scare people, because no one is fucking listening. Maybe don't eat bats. April Fool's Day is the perfect risk-free day to propose. Thor must have killed a lot of innocent people when summoning Mjolnir or Stormbreaker by not knowing who or what was between them both. They sterilize the needle on the syringe before putting the deadly injection in a person sentenced to death. If ghosts exists, there's probably a lot of them hanging out in porn studios. Honey tastes like it looks. You could probably defeat a medieval army just with a decent-sized magnet. All the wild animals that live inside cities must be pretty confused on what happened to all the humans. You know someone is bullshitting if they use quantum physics to sound smart. Because if they really knew physics, they'd probably use fluid dynamics instead. Maybe when you can't sleep is because your brain hasn't prepared a dream/nightmare plot. The number 4 doesn't seem that large until you play Uno. A lot of dogs are probably wondering why strangers aren't petting them anymore. One day when humans die out and another intelligent species takes over, our bones will be in museums. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is actually just about a man who takes kids into his building and tries to kill them off with the help of enslaved midgets. If you had earbuds that played intense music when your heart rate goes up, and calm music when it goes down, it could be like theme music in real life. Everything is Awesome was a song about how pop music is corporate-made and mind-numbing, and then proceeded to be a hit pop single IRL. One of those weird ads that says you won an iPhone 11 or you won $1 million could be the real thing and no one would notice. Whatever Dr. Doofenshmirtz did only affect humans. Perry the platypus could have just leave him alone and quit the job. Kids probably think that quicksand and piranhas are something they'll encounter on a regular basis as adults. Eventually there will be more posts from dead people than living people on the internet. There must have been something odd about Cinderella's feet that no one else in the kingdom could fit into her glass slipper. Having one of those clap-activated lights must make sex real interesting. Looking for piece of hay in a needle stack is way harder. Characters in a book can never be smarter than the author. A good dad joke is when you groan with a smile, while a bad dad joke is when you just groan. It's April Fool's and literally nobody cares. Since the ocean has vegetables, meat, and salt, it is technically a huge pot of soup. People who were recently placed on house arrest got very lucky. We live in a world where we constantly complain that we are overpopulated, but when Mother Nature tries to step in we all freak out and try to stop it. There are lots of actors and actresses out here who are better than most Hollywood stars, they just don't have a chance to be noticed. Since hair salons are closed, millions of people are suddenly going to learn their partner's actual hair color. Had Rose and Jack survived the sinking of the Titanic, they would probably have had a dysfunctional relationship. The biggest fear of an uncle is hearing that your nephew wants to be just like Spider-Man. Walking on snow is way more satisfying when no one else has walked on it. Drive-in theaters suddenly seem much more appealing than seated theaters. Essential employee is a weird way of saying expendable employee. Maybe dads don't want to let their daughters date at a young age because of how horrible they were to girls at that age, and don't want her to meet someone like them. Everyone wants to meet the sexy singles in their area, but no one steps up to be the sexy singles in their area. Scooby and Shaggy's continued belief in ghosts and monsters after seeing literally hundreds of them exposed as artifices demands greater suspension of disbelief from the audience than ghosts and monsters themselves. Lifting all the boats and ships out of the ocean would possibly make the sea level drop due of Archimedes' principle. You can't really knock over a sphere. You've probably seen something someone would kill for and dismissed it as worthless. Hospitals are the first building most people exit, and the last building many people enter. The Toys R Us song will one day be completely forgotten. If you're an only child and die without having kids, a very old and long generation of specific genes that have survived millions of years will die with you. It's weird that night is standard for the universe and the source of what we consider day is a giant glowing orb. Metal music is named as such because it's harder than rock music. There aren't any scenes in Lord of the Rings of them dropping the ring and having to look for it for like 25 minutes. Horror movies would probably be a lot less scary if the main characters weren't scared. While most NPCs seem to be as dumb as rocks, NPCs in horror games seem like they know every waking thought. If you melt shredded cheese, it would become unshredded cheese. The practice of saying bless you when someone sneezes is starting to make a lot more sense. With most McDonald's being closed, hopefully they can finally fix the ice cream machine. Teachers' handwriting always seemed so pristine due to the fact that ours was so underdeveloped. There has been an unprecedented increase in the use of unprecedented. A gun can turn anything into a donut. The amount of people that masturbate during work has skyrocketed. The human population is so large that you can reasonably infer that someone on the globe is doing whatever you can think of. That's scientifically possible. A person with a gun in a car is the modern version of a person with a bow on a horse. Dinosaurs' farts must have been massive. There's probably been more people in the last 24 hours debating whether a chicken nugget is a meatball or a meat pancake than there has ever been throughout all of history. A teenage girl screaming at a cockroach is probably more terrifying to the cockroach than it is to the girl. Maybe monsters only hide under young children's beds because they're scared of what will happen at night under a teenager's bed. It suddenly became socially acceptable to cross the road to avoid meeting people. There were probably much better composers than Mozart that never got heard of, none of their music written down, and just totally forgotten due to the lack of recording devices. Dogs probably enjoy catch so much because humans are one of the few animals that can throw. The world record for having the most world records would put the recipient in an ever-ending loop of receiving the same award. Set your alarm to play the theme from The Price is Right and you'll wake up every morning feeling like you've won something. It is no longer considered bad form to break up via phone/text. A massive protest march with everyone 6 feet apart would look pretty epic on TV. Moths usually come out at night, but are obsessed with light. Horror directors are probably getting some great footage of empty cities, packed hospitals, and panicking people. At some point in life, you may have killed someone by infecting them with the flu. Uranus is the butt of every astronomy joke. Bob Ross created a show about painting that even a blind person could enjoy. Technically, all spiders can jump 8 feet. People have foot fetishes, but not meter fetishes. Have you ever realized LOL could also be interpreted as the absolute value of O? It feels like the inventor of the whisk tried to come up with the hardest utensil to wash possible. No offense to the Incredibles, but a stretchy woman and a strong man resulting in an invisible girl, a fast boy and some random ass baby doesn't really add up. Pinocchio didn't get lost because he was a bad kid like the movie seems to be trying to indicate. It's because Geppetto didn't teach him enough about how the world works before sending him out into it. Rick Astley's foot is probably the most popular and most well-known foot on the internet. Coming out as trans is a gender reveal. Eventually humans will learn all of Earth's crafting recipes. We're all playing the world's biggest game of I am not touching you, I am not touching you, I am not touching you, not touching you, not touching you. Essentially, the heart is beating meat. The person who invented kissing had a mouth kink. Technically we're still in the early 2000s. There are almost no garbage cans shaped like garbage bags. If you were a character in a sitcom you would definitely be someone's favorite character. If we're ever able to travel faster than the speed of light, then we could watch the dinosaurs go extinct from a very large telescope. Lara Croft and Indiana Jones would probably be pretty good at escape rooms. If humanity exists forever, then at some point new thoughts and ideas will be physically impossible. If you die on the job and are cremated, you're basically fired. Humans seek superiority to equals and equality to superiors. Jenga is trees reliving their death. No one has ever been better cast than Danny DeVito as Penguin. Teens who got grounded for a month last month must have felt pretty smug when their parents got grounded, too.